So I've been playing Planetside 2 for about 5 years now. I've got a few thousand hours in the game. I think I'm coming up to 5,000 hours now. But in the last year, I've probably not played the game that much. I log in once every few weeks. And so I'm in a unique position to have a lot of context of how the game's been and how it is now, and also not that tied into the game currently. It's not really something I play that much. Generally, a good summarization of Planetside 2 currently would be that it's absolutely 10 out of 10 for the first 1,000 hours, or until you niche down to a specific class, vehicle, weapon, whatever. When you start to niche down and you stop enjoying the novelty, you start to see through the cracks a bit. And I think in the past that was fine because the cracks weren't that bad, but over time I think things have, for each respective group, not just like the salty vets that have played a lot, honestly a bit like me, but also are very good at shooters. I'm not specifically talking about that group, I'm talking about pretty much vets across the board, irrespective of their skill level. For example, if you're a harasser main, or you're an air main, or you're someone that really loves construction, if you're someone that loves to play main battle tanks, or if you're someone that likes to platoon lead, or you're someone that likes to spawn logistics in the case of routers, all of it's kind of got fucked with at one point or another. You know, whether you like to point hold, whether you like to play on a competitive format in a private server, no matter what group it is, every single group has issues with their respective part of the game. If you're an arcade shooter player, again, even there, chip damage, AoE spam. And it isn't just that all these vested interests aren't happy, it's that they're ambivalent because they've pretty much all quit. Almost everyone that plays Planetside 2 currently, and this is kind of actually a good thing for if you're in your first 1,000 hours, the game genuinely is amazing, and there's not a bunch of vets that are going to farm you in the same way there was in 2020. In 2021, when there were so many people locked in that were trying as hard as they could in their respective niche. You just don't have that this much anymore. Now there's exceptions to that rule, right? You still have Hoz, you still have very few Zarg Sarthas around, there's a few public platoon leaders still playing, and look, here's the thing, I would love to right now go on a diatribe about all the things that have gone wrong with Planetside 2 over the last 5 years, and then on top of all of that, the things that failed to get done, which needed to get done, But the thing is, that would be like a 3-hour video, and I genuinely don't think many people are interested in that type of content. I tried to do a series talking about the core fundamental issues with Planetside 2, and I noticed that people started saying, Zealous, you're being a bit negative here, bro. And look, here's the thing, in the past we used to blame Rel, right, the previous game designer which quit in like 2023, he's doing his own thing now, making some kind of RPG game, and that's great, I hope him all the best. But the thing is, I think Rel was just a product of what the community generally wanted, and then as a game dev he went in and tried to do it, and riffed on other people's ideas and put his own spin on it. For example, naval combat, something a few vets were pushing for, and in a joking way as far as I can tell, fishing, again, in a joking way vets were pushing for, both got put in. Other vets which were more on the casual side were pushing for a continent which kind of reminded them of how the game was when there was more of like open field engagements and fights between bases, and so OSHA was created. People wanted to see fights outside of just point holding, so Rel put in capture the flag. Point that I'm trying to reach here is that the current devs have been doing the same thing as well. And this is kind of what I wanted to kind of help the community kind of understand. I genuinely think a lot of the problem with the development over the years is the devs, I think, don't have enough context for what should be done. They're just not like very systems oriented people. And so what we end up getting are updates that the devs are trying their best to put in that they think the community will want. And then we've seen this with the Sundra update that the devs put in. As far as I can tell, vehicle players don't enjoy it very much. There's a lot of Sundra spam, and the main battle tanks even get fucked over, the lightnings get fucked over. Anything that isn't a Sundra just gets fucked over. And again, as an infantry main which spammed routers for years, I don't have any vested interest or knowledge about vehicle combat really that much. I've played a few hours, 5 or 6 in each respective vehicle, but that's it. The point that I'm trying to reach there is simply the new devs are following in Rel's path and the previous devs before Rel of just trying to do what the community asks them to do and not really having the context to do it correctly. I'll be interested to see how this Infiltrator patch goes, to see if the devs do a great job with it, or if they do what they seem to have done with the Sunderer patch, which is put their own spin on things based on what the community generally says they want. Like, the community says nerf Infiltrator, and then they have to interpret what that means and take everyone into consideration and do it in a way that still keeps the class being fun. It's actually one of the few things that hasn't been fucked with massively over the years, Infiltrator, so I'll be interested to see if even that vested interest will now be totally unenthused with the game in the same way a lot of other vested interests are, because their thing gets fucked with now too. Like, the community oftentimes says they want something, but they don't really know what that means, and, you know, because they don't lay it out for the devs, maybe because they're not really thinking about that deeply, they just think, oh, Infiltrator bad. They don't necessarily understand the secondary effects of, say, significantly changing the way detection works. Right, and that's just an example. The point that I'm trying to reach here is the new game devs have fell into the same trap that Rail did, because they don't necessarily have enough playtime in any respective thing to have any massive opinion on it, other than maybe Light Assault, which Rail used to love to play, and great, he was actually probably great at that, I'm sure. But then you start touching other systems that you're not antiquated with that well, unless you're just verbatim doing what a vet says, and you have to trust that the vet's operating in good faith and they don't just totally want to screw over the class. And anyway, there's a whole different topic there. Point is, I don't see this game doing that well from here on out. I don't know if I'm going to even upload any more Planetside videos, maybe one for the Infiltrator patch. You know, I've been saying this for a while now, but I mean, I upload very infrequently now. Pretty much everyone that I used to play with does not play the game anymore. Our entire community still is around. We have, 10, 15 people on voice a lot of nights, like most nights. I think we're one of the few communities that actually successfully transitioned out of Planetside into other games and kept everyone cohesively together, right? We created something of enough value that people wanted to stay around even after the utility of being in an outfit for Planetside evaporated, right? And if you want to consider joining us as well, by the way, feel free. Just a little shameless self-plug there. Anyway, I don't think the game's going to die anytime soon. I'm not going to be like Giga Doomer, and I hope this video hasn't come across this way. I'm just being realistic. Like, this is a very realistic, dry take of how objectively the game is going. I'm not trying to create a spin or a narrative. I'm not using any straw mans. I'm not going into any personal attacks here. I'm just being very objective with how the game currently is, how it has been in the past, and how likely going forward, given the current trend of pretty much all the locked in players being gone now, I just don't see that reversing. I think this game is largely just something to play if you enjoy the game casually, or if you like to play your respective niche and you haven't got bored of it yet. Right, there's some people, some madmen, which still enjoy their respective niche, and look, if that's you and you still enjoy the game, more power to you. I know a lot of us wish that we were still there mentally, where we still could lock in and love the game and enjoy the game to the extent that some in the community still genuinely do. But for most of us, the time's come where we've been replaced, to be honest, by a lot more of a casual audience that is just playing for fun, and that's fine. It really is a different audience. This game would have had to have a different trajectory after the success in 2020, where the game blew up, basically. And it just didn't happen. It's a shame, but it did fizzle out, and we're seeing the results of that now, and that's fine. The game will still be around for years to come. It just will be a bit more muted in the zealousness of the player base. I think the player base will be a lot more stoic, ambivalent, less reactionary, less fatalistic, and to be honest, a little bit more dull. But that isn't necessarily bad. Again, the game's still fun. It still is functionally a good game, especially if you're just like a returning player, checking the game out for 50, 100 hours over the course of a few months. Again, the game's fucking stellar. I don't want to get this video twisted. It's really fun. Anyway, look, this is just my own thoughts, feelings, opinion. Would love to hear yours in the comment section. Check out our Discord. I'm out. GG. Bye-bye.